Howdy folks, I'm Keith Bowen and this is Hard Rock University. We're at a place we call the Dreamer Prime because the Dreamer mine is just on the other side of that hill. Now it's near Arivaca, Arizona. It's on our claims. In lesson 24, improved hand panning microfine gold, this was where I got the sample. Now I'd like to get some more rock to do some production testing. I'd like to have about a half a ton of it, if possible. But what's the good stuff? That's the question. We're quite a ways out. It's been took about three and a half hours to get here from home. We already lost one tire, and the stupid tire shop torqued the nuts on it. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get it off. We may have to take the quad back to where we can get someone from Civilization to come out with some more tools. But anyhow, this is not the kind of spot you want to go back and forth to a half a dozen times. We also don't want to spend a lot of time assaying. So we are going to use a technique called speed prospecting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get samples of all these different zones behind us here. I'm going to screen it down because crushing takes a lot of time and effort. I'm going to screen it down to fines, pan them down, and use that as a proxy to guess which is the best stuff and which is the worst stuff, because all we want to take home in volume is the best stuff. So you can see we got the generator top of the hill, we got the Hilti down here. We're going to get to work, start filling some buckets, taking them up and processing them. Going to call the zones starting from left to right. Zone 1 appears to be hanging wall. Zone 2, fault gouge. Zone 3 looks kind of like entrained wall rock. Zone 4, fault gouge. Zone 5, I'll call it stringer vein. This may be part of Zone 5, but I've separated this to Zone 6. Zone 7 is footwall. Zone 6, the bucket is marked 1/3 ounce per ton because that's what I got out of here before. So now let's get up there and get an idea of what we got. Okay, so what we're trying to do is to get real-time assaying, rough, but real-time. Speed is more important. Now, we also have limited amount of cargo capacity and everything else, so hauling the RC46 and all that'd be just too much. So let's see what we can do. We're starting with a bucket. Of that 1/3 to the ounce to the top.
Supposedly.
Wow, got a ding in it. Nasty one. By the way, the person behind the camera is my brother. And I've been very blessed to have a brother that I get along with and likes to do the same sort of stuff I do. Oh, I need another bucket. I'll use a pan for the moment. That first screen was 1/4 inch. This one's 30 mesh. And now got that. we have plenty of material to pan. So we've measured the amount of fines here. This is water that we brought with us. We put a little bit of finish and just a touch of flocculant to settle the fine material down. Now we're going to pan it in the normal way we would pan for microfine gold. There's a lot of organics in there. You can tell because there's a lot of crap floating. That's because it was near surface. Now that I got it worked down to this, I'm trying to minimize my use of water. I have to be able to see what I'm doing here, but I'll pour it into there and wash the dirt out into here for a very particular reason. I want to make sure that any gold that was in these fines winds up in this tub, which will eventually be dumped right back into the sample bucket. Just a few flecks. I'd give that more a 0.05, not a 1/3 of an ounce to the ton. That's not real encouraging, but then I don't know how much is in the fines and how much is in the rock. Without crushing it and pulverizing it, we're just guessing. So let's take some other samples and see what they do. Careful to minimize the amount of water you get in that because it screws up the crushing later. We've already called for help. Tools will be on their way shortly and another vehicle, so it's not a disaster, merely an annoyance. On to the next sample. Okay, this is the second sample. This is zone 7. And that is a pretty significant result. There was only about 1 cup of fines, and panning that, we're looking over half an ounce, maybe up to 1 ounce to the ton is that result there, assuming everything's free milling and we're recovering and blah, blah, blah. That's some good material. We don't know what the coarser rock is. So this is, again, we're just getting the fines. This is the stuff coming out of the cracks. It may or may not be representative of the rest of it, but at least we know that's got a lot more gold than the last one did. Back to the next sample. Beware of the vengeance of bushes. Well, here we are the next day. We didn't plan on being here today, but we had some good luck and bad luck. We had bad luck, tire got blown up. We had more bad luck. The lug nuts were so tight due to unmentionable tire men with unmentionable air wrenches that we were completely unable to take it off. Luckily, believe it or not, we had great cell phone service here. Called Eva, she got her son, a few tools. They came up, still unable to get it off. But we got home, we've got tools, we got new lug studs, we got a grinder, we got everything we need. If we have to, we can literally cut it to pieces and reassemble it. This also gave me a little more time though. This is the advantage of speed prospecting. We have these 7 zones of material here. This was where I got that 1/3 of an ounce to the ton sample last time. But when we came back and got bigger samples, this didn't come out very well at all. Maybe a 0.05. This fault gouge here was about the same, 0.03 to 0.05. This stuff here is kind of low grade crap. I mean, it'd be okay for heap leaching. But the big surprise right here. This looks to be footwall. you would think it's unmineralized, like that stuff over there. But this came out more like a ½ ounce to the ton in the fines. And because we had to go home last night, my brother thought, hey, why don't we take the best couple of buckets home with us while we're at it, since he had to get out of here in a quad. We couldn't get my Suburban up here. It's pretty tough. But I took those 2 buckets this morning, crushed them and panned them, and confirmed. This is nothing special. This is pretty interesting. So, what I think we have is maybe a little side zone here. Randy, why don't you come on over here? We'll show them. Now, when I was sampling, you can see the chisel marks from the Hilti across here. Took it across here, and most of this looks like crap. Right in here. See how it's confined to this channel, cleanly confined? That's some kind of fault fracture zone there, and has a lot of iron in it. Now, if this averaged over that, running a ½ ounce to the ton or more, this right here might be several ounces to the ton. It's pretty easy to get to. Wow, that looks pretty unstable right there, Randy. We'll have to clear that out.
Yeah.
So, we're going to sample this. We're going to sample this. Going to pan them on the spot again. And we'll see. Because if this is over an ounce to the ton, we'll fire up the Hilti and get as much of this stuff as we can haul back with us. And just, you know, a bucket of sample of the others just for confirmation assay. That's the advantage of speed prospecting. You can home in right into the good stuff, even when you didn't see it at first. Now this is the amount of gold from a little less than a cup of fines from the zone, that fracture zone. Get a little water on it here. That, on the other hand, is the gold from the rock around it. And that was a little over 2 cups of fines. So clearly, what's got the gold is that one little fracture zone and nothing else. Now we've got it dialed in. We know exactly where we need to dig. And that's why speed prospecting makes life a lot easier and more efficient. Now, let's get this damn tire fixed and get out of here. There's the 2 halves of the nut. And we now have a wheel that can come off. Now that we've identified the ore, I'm going to remove this waste, throw it in the hole, spread the tarp, and then start taking out the ore. So here's the zone after stripping and mining. This was the low-grade waste. This was the high-grade material. You can see the very sharp delineation there. You can also see that the material tends to be in cracks. That's very common, and that's why you sometimes get some pretty high-grade concentrating just by screening. But this appears to be the richest material here, and down there Should have 5 to 10 buckets full, which is adequate for my needs. And quite frankly, it's been a long weekend. It's kind of warm, and I'm an old geezer. So we're going to call it quits, load everything up, and get the hell out of here. Happy prospecting, and keep it safe out there.